Good evening, YouTubers. The sun is going down. It's a glorious day here in sunny Spain, with Gibraltar in the background, if you can make it out through the windscreen there. What's the temperature, Fiona? Have a look at the temperature on there. Can you read that?
I can't read that. Goodness me.
Of course you can. It's about 30.
28.
28, there we go. 28. It's cooled down.
Oh.
It's been a fabulous day today. The sea's been flat. It's been nice and sunny.
Oh, you found dolphins then?
Yeah, I've had to swap my watch onto this wrist because you can see.
Oh, you're getting tanner wear,
I'm getting tanner wear.
Quite pleased with my hair colour. That's come out really well. It's not a wig.
Is it blonde?
No, well I dyed it blonde, but I'm not a blonde, I'm a brunette.
You were, like me. I was a brunette, I've gone blonde.
And I've been dyeing my hair red for years. I've had a few people say that they've always found it quite hurtful. They're natural redheads. The term ginger, and I know what they mean, but I love red hair. I love red hair on men and women, and they used to call it auburn. And there is an enormous hair dye trade. Anybody out there who's got red hair, take heart. It's $1 billion industry. People like me have been dyeing their hair red for years. I particularly used to like Lady Bellamy's hair when I was a child.
Upstairs, downstairs.
Yeah.
Which one? The one who went down with the Titanic or the later one?
The one that went down with the Titanic. I just loved her hair. She had red hair. And Isla Blair, she was always brilliant redhead.
What was that girl called who was in the Titanic?
Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet. She had really curly red hair. She was gorgeous. I loved it.
It was more blonde in that.
I liked
blonde,
it.
I think.
Was it?
Anyway, I've just had an unusual experience. And I've got a good nose for these things. A very good nose. Especially having been a fugitive. A young man has been taking pictures of me from the public parade across on the main road. You don't have to show them all that. They know where we live. Everybody knows where we live. Everybody knows where our boat is. And I was just sitting out here on my phone, and you know when you know someone's looking at you, like, or staring at your back? I just became aware, and I looked up, and there he was. It was most definitely me. He was photographing.
She was sitting here in this chair, weren't you?
He was an Omid Scobie lookalike in a green t-shirt.
It might have been Omid.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't Omid Scobie, but he was that type. Do you know what I mean? And very, very white skin from England, fresh off the last EasyJet, I'd say. And he took the pictures, so I didn't let him know that I was looking at him. And then he turned away and he walked away a few steps and stopped, and he had his head down and both his hands cupped like he was on his phone, and I felt he was
checking his photos.
Either checking his photos or WhatsApping somebody and sending the photos somewhere. Now, as I say, I've got a good nose for these things. He wasn't a copper. He wasn't Customs and Excise. I know exactly what they smell and look like. No offence to anyone out there who's Customs and Excise. It's just a term I use, which means, I know where they're from. I know what journalists look like. This guy was not a journo. And I'll tell you what my money is. And then he was there for ages, sort of with his head down and his back to me. So I stood up, because I knew he'd turn around and look at me. And he was quite shocked that I was looking back at him. So he put his head down and walked off, pretending like, he wasn't interested. And he walked all the way down, but he couldn't resist looking back, and I was still staring at him. And he was, shit, she's still looking at me. And I went to the front of the boat. I sat on the front of the boat, and he turned around at least 2 more times with me staring at him. I wanted to make him aware, and I'd like this on record on YouTube, because I remember Ashli and I remember the fires, and I'm not stupid, and I would suggest that's sugar camp. That is sugar camp, definitely. And I said to you straight away, there's a fella. I mean, lots of people take pictures at that corner. They take pictures of the boat, our neighbour's boat, our boat.
Sunsets.
This one was most definitely at me. Definitely. Yeah. With a mobile phone.
I mean, our boat's not a fancy boat, is it? It's not the smartest
No, lots of
boat
tourists take pictures of us, but that was not it.
Yeah.
And then he scarpered all the way down the end. He went round the back of the cafe, as if he's walking straight back into Jib. He wasn't a tourist. He wasn't meandering, looking around. He'd done his business and he was off, and he didn't like that I noticed him. Now, I could be completely wrong, as I often say. But if I'm right, I saw you, mate.
Yeah. I seen him as well.
Yeah, Graham looked up and went,
What's one to do? Go and bash him on the head or something, you know?
Of course not. Don't be so silly.
Everyone's got the right to walk up and down there.
Don't be so silly. But remember the
My
story.
name's up Prince Harry. Oh my God, we've got to erect huge fences all around the boat so nobody can see us.
Don't you guys remember me telling you the story about the weeks building up to my arrest? And I saw Noea, the blonde Spanish police officer, following me several months before they came to arrest me. And so the morning that I saw her through the window, I said to Graham, that's that woman. She's been following me everywhere. I told you, Spanish copper. I knew it. Yeah. I've always been very good. In fact, I used to have quite a reputation with Sussex Police and the local criminal fraternity in Sussex. My ability to sniff people out was called Fiona's good and bad feeling, and a lot of people would take me along to places and say, tell me, are there any coppers in the room, or is there anything going on? And I could pick them out very easily.
Yeah, I was quite like that as well. Not every time, but...
You think everybody's a spy.
That's because I should have been a spy. My mother said I should have been a spy, didn't she?
Your mother did say you should have been a spy.
Sneaky, horrible git.
I think you'd have been a very good spy, very handsome spy.
Dashing and brave.
In fact, Graham played a little trick on the customs once. At an airport, he used to be a pilot landing at private airfields, and he knew they were watching him. He knew, and he was fed up with it, because it makes you a bit fed up when you're being followed all the time. So he got his flight case, landed his plane. I can't remember the story. Well, you were there, I wasn't. What happened?
It was the Twin Aztec, you know, Gieski.
Oh, right. You'd been to Latuke or something.
Johan was saying, well, I'm taking the, he was one of the pilots. He was saying, I'm taking the Twin for a whiz. Do you want to come? I went, yeah, come on then. Where do you want to go? He goes, I don't know. I said, how long do you want to go for? He said, a couple of hours. He's got to clock up so many hours a year.
And this is Shoreham, yeah.
Shoreham. And the night before, we'd just watched Saving Private Ryan. You know, they just come out on and I said, why don't we do the Normandy beaches? We'll just go across to France, fly along the Normandy beaches, because I've just watched Saving Private Ryan. And he went, yeah, okay, why not? So we set off from Shoreham, went to the Isle of Wight, got to St Catherine's Point, went south to Cherbourg, right? And you crossed an FIR boundary, so you've got to file a flight plan. But we didn't land in France. We just went low along the beaches, Normandy. Went right up the beach, all the way up to Le Havre, and then we turned left and tracked Seaford's Beacon back to Brighton and landed. And of course, that was it. We must have disappeared off the radar because we'd gone low. Right. And that was it. Customs were on us, and so as soon as we were parking up, I'm looking around like this, clocking heads. See who's looking at you, as you do.
And they're so obvious, aren't they?
And,
they're awful at it.
And as my mate, the pilot, was switching it all off, because I wasn't the pilot on that trip. I was in the right hand seat. I was just a passenger. I grabbed my flight bag, walked down the back of the plane, and then I suddenly legged it towards the hangars. And with my head down, legged it really fast. And as soon as it got in between the hangars, I just put the flight case down on the floor and leaned against the wall like that. And I could hear this getting louder and louder. And he comes screaming round the corner like this. And I went, customs and excise. And he's like, I said, you're too late, mate. I'd have been long gone. And he's like, don't count on it. Anyway, he searched my flight case.
I presume he was searched.
He went back to the plane, searched the plane, nothing. And then we all came out, and he goes, why did you run? I said, because it's cold and windy. I wanted to get out the draft.
Well, you did it for a laugh. You did it to draw him out.
Anyway, when we walked through, when we came away, we walked through to the other side of the hangars, and there's this car sat there. And I went to my mate, that's them there, look, in that car.
Oh, were they like putting their heads down?
They're all like this.
I'm just reading the newspaper, mate.
Car with about four bonds in it. Clocked the registration number weeks ago, you know what I mean? I thought, I know that one. I can't even, it was a Ford Galaxy or something.
No, it's like the fella that was in the bar that in the January before I was arrested. Do you remember? I knew it, Daily Mail. That's Daily Mail. I could just tell it wasn't a copper. They've got, because we all wear uniforms, don't we, in life? Whether it's our plain clothes when you work in a certain sector, you wear a uniform, you give it away. You give the game away because you dress the way that your compatriots are. You want to fit in. And coppers have a certain look, even plainclothes. Customs and excise have a certain look. And journalists have a certain look.
And when coppers are wearing plain clothes like t-shirts and jeans to look inconspicuous, they stand out a mile. You go, oh, he's a cop, he's a cop.
Yeah,
so
it's strange,
because they're all
isn't
dressed
it?
the same and like.
Not really. I can't put my finger on it, but you can just
You can
tell.
just go,
In fact,
oh,
we had a friend.
Get on them.
I didn't actually sniff this one out at all. We had a friend who came over to visit, and he was dead keen to introduce his girlfriend, who's absolutely lovely. I think they got married in the end. They came back to our house. I thought she was just divine, and I was so happy this guy had found a fella, and Graham was sitting off like this. And I will admit, I did not sniff this one out. And all of a sudden, Graham went, "What do you do for a living?" And she was hesitant. He went, "You're a policewoman, aren't you?" And she said, "Yes, I am, sorry." And I was quite impressed, actually, that you sniffed her out, old panda.
Yeah, but she wasn't offensive in any way.
No,
She's
no,
a
no,
really
not
nice
at all,
girl.
not at all. But it's like I say, when people are in a certain job, they want to fit in, don't they? So we all adopt a sort of a persona. It's like you, when you're down south, you sound really southern. But as soon as he goes...
Southern, mate. All right, mate, how you doing? Yeah, go on.
Don't take the piss. As
Don't
soon as he
take that
goes
piss.
home...
How you
to-
northern monkey?
To up north, or he meets another Scouser,
No, then, mate, what are you doing?
out it comes.
Oh, this is my missus, she's a southerner. Don't take no notice of her, she's dead stuck up.
It's fitting in, isn't it? It's fitting in. I had that because when I was at school, I did go to private schools, but they all had Brighton accents, whereas my mum and dad spoke like the Queen and Prince Philip. So when I went to school, I'd still be talking like my mum and dad, and my classmates would make fun of me. So during the day, I would become more Brighton accent, and by the time I went home, my parents would make fun of me. Why are you talking like that, darling? Don't talk like that.
My dad used to pick on me, because I'd come home and I'd be talking about all of yous. All of yous? All of yous? You mean all of you? You all? What, he'd be correcting me on grammar, and I go, yeah, yous? He goes, no, yous are female goats or something, whatever they were. Sheep. Oh, right, okay, because he was an officer in the Royal Air Force and he spoke properly. Well, he didn't actually, he just spoke normal.
But it's just you're a kid and
But
you're
yeah,
trying to fit in.
When you're out and about in Liverpool land, you know, you don't walk around like this, talking to people like this, or you get beaten up.
As you get older, you learn to slip into whatever, depending
And I
on...
was talking to my mate, right, and he was from Yorkshire, and I said, I'm talking like this. He didn't. I happened this. Why don't you do it? And my mate from Liverpool was laughing his cock off behind me. And he was saying, fucking hell, he goes, I didn't know you spoke Yorkshire. He'd do the language.
Woolly back.
Woolly back.
You speak woolly back.
Yeah. So
Anyway. So yeah, I just want it on record. I want you all as witnesses.
all of yous out there.
Some little sugar. It is a boy, right? A boy.
The green t-shirt.
With a green t-shirt, pasty white skin, aged, I would say, anywhere
Looked
between...
like Omid Scobie.
He didn't really look like Omid Scobie, but he's the type, I can imagine. He was wearing a similar uniform, if you know what I
Eyeshadow.
mean. No makeup. No.
You can tell from there.
I've got a good look at his face. I'd remember his face.
30 yards away, isn't it?
I'm a dolphin spotter, Graham.
Yeah, pretty good one as well.
Similar conversation with the police a few years ago when they tried to persuade me that I had seen a bale of cannabis when I bloody well didn't. I saw 4 kilos of Class A drugs. But anyway, that's another story.
Yeah.
And they said, you must have imagined it, Mrs. Hesketh. No such thing happens round here. And I said, I'm a dolphin spotter and my job is to describe to the captain exactly what I'm seeing.
Everyone was clearly mistaken.
I was obviously mistaken. I was mistaken.
They misremembered. Anyway, moving on. From wild accusations and pointing fingers. What should we move on to?
Oh, the sun's going down and winding it up because we'll be sitting in pitch black in a minute and you won't be able to see us.
It will. And I do apologise to everyone for putting some other film. I've been going through my channel and deleting loads of films and saving some and moving them and stuff.
What films have you been putting?
Old videos of me and Fiona and the kids.
I think some people like that. I like that.
Some of them are really good, but I'm trying to get rid of stuff that I don't need and moving on.
That sun's going to go any second now.
It's going to go any second now.
You need to say
good night. and may your God go with you.